Hello, hello, you talented stars and starlets. I am Chantele Francis. I'm a certified hypnotherapist and actor, and one of your hosts here, along with my co host, Ariel. Ariel, how are you today? She's also a certified hypnotherapist and actor.
I am. I'm good. I'm navigating tech issues. I'm standing today. So it'll be a whole new experience, but I'm so happy to be here. And we have a really exciting guest.
Yes, we do. So today, part of our Reframe series. So reframe, relax, and find your voice. So we have a special guest today that is going to help us find our voice through hypnotherapy, which I think is really fun. We all know how much Ariel and I love hypnotherapy, so seeing new uses for it is very exciting. So Ariel, who do we have here today?
Well, we have Katie Crooks. She is a certified hypnotherapist with 20 years background on stage and behind the scenes in voice, theater, and performance. She has a unique gift for helping others and creatives heal fear, anxiety, mental blocks so that they can access their inner well-being, connect to their deeper creative self, and show up as the artist they were truly meant to be. She's got 3 degrees from Exeter University, Guildford School of Acting and Musical Theater and Voice Practice, plus a hypnotherapy certification. And we all went to did the same program at Grace.
Oh,
Exciting. And a wealth of expertise in voice coaching, pro-level artist. She is an expert at transforming self-sabotage and limitation into inspiration and freedom. When she isn't guiding artists and creatives, you'll see her on stage leading her own swing band, fronting a number of big bands, throwing herself down a mountain on skis, or the occasional parachute. Oh my goodness, Katie, or rock climbing back up the mountain. Katie is a Cornish beach bunny at heart who loves nothing more than sitting with watercolors and a sketch pad, meditating in the garden with her cat, or at the piano coaching in a professional theater. Holy moly.
thank you. And so here she is, Katie Crooks. How are you today, Katie? You do a lot, and I can't wait to dive into more.
Yeah.
You read the whole thing.
I was very intrigued, and I was like, oh my goodness, what else? But yeah, incredible bio. Oh my goodness.
Wow. It's nice hearing it read out.
Well,
Wow.
welcome, Katie. So, what we do usually on this podcast is we kind of have a specific topic. So, today, because you're our guest, we are going to do voice. We're going to find our voice through hypnotherapy. So, how did you find that this merge can come together? Can you give us maybe a little bit of a history as how you combine the two of these modalities?
So many different doorways led into the same answer. When I started teaching singing, which was about 20 years ago, I just fell straight into it. It was meant to be absolutely my soul's purpose at the time. And from about day one, I was there in the studio with these young singers who were so crippled by anxiety and fear. And I thought, what the heck's going on here? If I could fix the mindset problem, then I could fix the technique in a quarter of the time. And they were going home with this going, oh wow, I've just unlocked my voice, it feels amazing. And they come back the next week with the same problems. Their tongue tension, or their jaw was tight, or their posture, they were shrinking away because they were afraid of being seen. And I realized that if I could fix the mental and emotional side more deeply, then the physical stuff was going to get way easier. And then years down the line, I ended up training as a speech teacher, and I was combining that with my singing teaching. And by this point, I trained as an actor, and I'd experienced spoken voice training. And I was giving these classes to groups of actors in professional training and doing all this deep relaxation. And they were saying to me, Katie, can I just record our class today? Because I like the relaxation. I want to go home and listen to it again. And then one of them said, you should be a hypnotherapist. And I realized that the voice work I was doing with these actors was exactly the same as hypnotherapy. Deep relaxation and guided visualization, metaphors and analogies and storytelling to release emotional and mental blocks so they could unlock their voice. And then I started to experiment with, I did my hypnotherapy training and then started to experiment with bringing those two modalities together. And here we are.
That's fabulous. Ariel, sorry, you looked like you were about to say something.
I said, wow. But I also, oh my gosh, I have so many questions. Are there any other hypnotherapists in the world that you know of that do something similar that you do?
I've met a couple of people who do similar things who happen to be, I think, singing teachers and singers like me, but and also hypnotherapists, but who haven't necessarily combined the two. To be honest, most of my work is my one-to-one work at the moment is just the hypnotherapy for stage fright, but quite often the people I'm working with have come with voice issues, and so we can't help ourselves. We end up deep diving into the voice work and combining it. It's quite hard to not do that, but I think I'm the only person I know who does both, as in combines the two. Yeah. That was a long-winded answer.
No, not at all. I mean, I love the combining of it because what we've obviously all found when we start going into the subconscious that some of these blocks, it leads to other things, like anything that might have been imprinted, maybe a belief from when you're your childhood or whatnot, that could actually affect the voice. And so I just think it must be very fascinating for you to find some of these root causes that like may have closed up the voice, whether it was something that happened, they were scared when they were 3 years old that they don't necessarily remember in their waking life. But once we kind of go deep into the issue, into the subconscious, that a lot of things open up and are revealed. So that must be very fascinating.
You know, I cannot tell you how many people, and I'm sure you've heard this, how many people have come up to me and said, oh, my primary school teacher when I was 4 told me I can't sing and I had to stand at the back of the choir. That is, I mean, it just makes me want to cry just saying that, because there are so many people who've said that exact phrase. And so many times when we do hypnosis, and it turns out that the 5-year-old or the 3-year-old or even younger had somebody say something like that, like, oh, you're not a singer, your sister's a singer, you're not the singer, or you're a nice dancer but you can't really sing, so how about you go and dance this bit instead, or a teacher shaming them for singing out of tune when they were a little kid. And all kids are just, you know,
playing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know many kids who can sing in tune at 4 years old. I mean, some can, but generally they're just all expression, and isn't so much of what we do peeling away those layers of conditioning to reveal this gorgeous, curious, expressive inner child.
So do you only kind of deep dive in and find the root, or is there any other applications that you found that you've been using hypnotherapy for with the voice? So you said relaxation. We can obviously go in, find maybe the root cause if the voice is blocked or the range has been shortened. Is there any other uses that you found that have come up? That's great.
So many. I mean, most of the time when we do the deep dive, even if it's someone who's come with jaw tension and we've done a deep dive, we've ended up going back and healing a memory or an experience. But there's so many other aspects. Muscle relaxation is really, really powerful. So if someone has tongue tension, which is inhibiting their vocal freedom, then, because when your tongue is tight, it tends to inhibit your larynx position, and then you can't find the vocal freedom that you need, then usually that's because there's unreleased emotion, because if you don't cry and you want to, your tongue needs to release. So one of the things we'll do is sometimes physical stretches, tongue stretches, but then we'll also do some deep healing work around healing the emotion that never got a chance to release. But one of the most powerful things we do is simple visualization techniques in hypnosis to reduce the muscle tension, to turn it, to count it down. And so one of my most popular recordings is called Vocal Muscle Relaxation. It's an unofficial one in the bonus section of my program, and every single time they all say to me, that's my favorite one. And I say, I made all these recordings to go in your program. And the bonus one is your favorite. So yeah, muscle relaxation, inner judge, negotiating with inner critic. That's huge.
Wow. Well, so two things kind of came up for me. So one that came up, it was I I went to a performing arts school, so I was in the choir from I was 8 years old, and so I understand music, understand how to sing in tune, all that stuff. And I hadn't sang properly in years. And so when I was living in Vancouver, I went to a voice coach just to see what's happening here. If I'd focused on singing, I could have probably maybe had some sort of singing career, because I was never a bad singer, but I was focusing more so on dance and drama, because that just came a little bit more naturally to me, and I had a bigger range there than I would say as a singer, because I was with Baroque opera singers, were my contemporaries when I was younger. So I was like, they're singers, I'm not a singer.
Oh, the
but
boxes.
you know what I mean, though. It's like
Yeah.
I majored in dance because I was just better at dance off the bat. And so I went to see a voice coach, and we started doing exercises and singing, and I was bawling. I was crying so much. I'm like, my voice, you can hear me. I don't know. I was I'm crying now, kind of reliving that moment. And it was so powerful. And I obviously took more lessons with that lady, and then I kind of didn't, and I moved back to Toronto, and I'm wondering if anything has closed back up, or what that experience, if I could, you gotta get what I'm talking about here, but it's transformative.
About. You know what? A few things are coming up when you say that. One of them is that when you release, oh my gosh, I mean, this is primal, right? When we release our voice, something magical happens. There's a physical release, because when we are experiencing a shock or a fright, or we have something to release from our body, usually we want to release it through sound. We want to scream or cry or howl or wail or tell someone to F off, or whatever it is that we want. If we feel an emotion, there's often a sound that wants to come out of our body, right? And so, they say eyes are the window to the soul. I think the voice is the window to the emotions. I think the voice is it gives away our emotions. How our voice is coming out indicates how a person's feeling, right? And so if we haven't released our voice, if we haven't howled or cried or laughed or even gargled, even gargling releases something, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be aesthetic and nice. It can just be a sound. If that's not released, then I personally think the body holds on to it. Well, we know, we're learning more and more, the body holds on to it. And so when you finally get into a room where you're in a space, in a safe space with someone who lets you release sound, your inner child is probably going, yes, I can make this sound. And all those sound waves, all those vibrations coming out are so emotive. Oh my gosh. So 2 reasons. One, because when you make sound, it activates the vagus nerve. And of course, the vagus nerve is vagus meaning wanderer. The vagus nerve is the nerve that travels through all of these centers, the voice, the throat, the heart. I can't remember exactly where, but it goes through all these centers, which we often notice are related to our emotional responses. And when you activate the vagus nerve, that can take you out of fight, flight and into a more relaxed state. So humming, singing, even gargling activates the vagus nerve. So there's that going on, but there's also the emotional release of being in an environment where you're safe to make sound without judgment. And that is so powerful.
Yeah, I guess coming from a performance background, even things like karaoke, it's you can't be too good at karaoke, because then you look like you're showing off. And so you don't necessarily having a decent voice, you don't necessarily want to sing because of what people might judge you. And so maybe that's why I'd closed off my voice, because I don't know, I'm not sure why I did, but I'm interested to see if we're going to be able to open something up here, or do you do maybe an analysis of what your voice state is, or how to know if there's some tension, or how do you maybe do an assessment if someone is not coming in for a specific ailment or issue?
Oh my goodness, that's such a good question, because much of my work has been someone coming to me saying, I've got this voice problem, I know it goes deeper than just technical, can we do the deep dive into the hypnosis? And I go straight into the hypnosis program. But so I'm thinking back to moments with clients. In most cases, it's clients who already know that they're mentally blocked and know that they could sing better if they could just stand still and not be fidgeting because they're anxious, or could access, I'm thinking now, so I had one last couple of years ago who was really struggling. She was struggling to belt. She's professionally trained actor, musical theatre, singer, dancer, triple threat, we call them. I don't know if you have that over there, triple threat. Yeah. And she's, really, really talented lady, or young woman. But she could not let herself belt. And I used all the tricks of the trade, all of the stabilizing the body and the head and the "Hey, Francesca" and all these exercises to get her to do, safe shouting, in the right way. And she could do it. And then we put it into the song, and the inner judge would just go, "Nope, you're not doing that." That's an example where it came up in our one-to-one singing that's what we needed to work on. And then we would go into the hypnosis work based on that. So I'm actually in the process of devising a sort of VIP taster day of what I do, because I have 2 programs, but if someone doesn't want to do the long-term deep dive, this day would be, so what I would do in that, and I'm literally putting it together over the last couple of days.
Nice.
Yeah, it's great. It's really exciting, actually. Is I would start with a vocal stretch to find out what their voice is doing. Because in most cases, if someone's got something that's not working in a part of their voice, there's usually a muscular imbalance. So, for example, if someone came in and we did a vocal stretch, vocal warm-up, and they had all chest register or speech quality, whatever, different people use different terms, same thing, but they had no upper register, then I would say, okay, so we want to find out, is this just technical? Is it just that you haven't shifted your voice into that position, and you've just belted everything since you were 5 years old, and you've never exercised this particular set of muscles? Or is it because you were holding back and not allowing the more vulnerable part of your voice to come through? Because if someone's quite a forthright character and everything's here like this, and they live in a family where everything's shout, shout, shout to get attention, then that cry part, the part of the voice, that part is not going to have much opportunity to show up in their life. And if they do show that part of their voice, sometimes there's a chance of ridicule from their family or their friends, and so they don't show that part of their voice. So the muscles are strong, but there's also the psychological piece in there. So what I would do is I would say, right, let's do the technical work. Let's get those muscles nice and strong. Let's find out how much we can do there first. And then if that works to a certain point, great. Now what we can do is go into some relaxation and imagine that happening. So you're visualizing that technical exercise. When you visualize and you imagine something happening, we all know that the neural pathways in the brain are firing, and visualizing and imagining something happen is almost nearly practically as effective as physically doing it. Studies have shown that, as sports therapists, psychotherapists use this all the time. So that's what I would do next. And then I would say, right, now let's do a deep dive into healing whatever, or reframing whatever past experience may have caused you to shut your voice down. And if that means getting their inner child to rewrite the story of them allowing themselves to cry in front of their family, or whatever it is, right? That then we go back into the singing work, and usually there's tears, which is always a great thing, and a voice unlocking.
Oh, beautiful. One thing that also I want to say, and Ariel, I know you have something to say. I keep on jumping in and cutting you off. Sorry, my voice is being heard a lot right now. Is that my acting coach, sometimes he says, with learning lines, we lock and load them in our jaw, and we don't, and then we can't recall them. And so I find it really interesting, even you talking about the relaxation and in the jaw and in the tongue. And I'm wondering, if we memorize our lines and then we get them locked and loaded in that tension, it's interesting that people can't maybe recall their lines sometimes, or the stutter comes out, or they're not able to express their voice fully because of that tension that they're holding in their throat and jaw. And so I'm hoping that some of these exercises are going to be helping me even to use on a regular basis, to just allow that freedom of having these words to be in my mouth and in my throat and in my tongue, and not lock and load them, and so that they're not easily accessible. So I find that it's all kind of related right now.
Right, you're so right. The jaw, I mean, wow. Yeah, and quite often jaw is related to anger, quite often. So if someone is gripping and holding, then, and quite often when we're acting, we are accessing true emotion, but sometimes we end up, like you say, locking and loading, and accessing those emotions from a place that I don't think is always the most organic, until we've got into the role. This is what I've noticed, certainly when I was acting, because I did it for a while, and I would lock and load because for me the emotion wasn't coming from as authentic, as true a place as it could have done. If I let that emotion flow from my root chakra all the way up, then the real stuff would come out. But if I was, trying too hard, then I would lock. Then it would be, exactly. And so the jaw, this is a really interesting one, because a lot of people I've noticed get jaw tension two reasons. One, if their posture's out. So if they're doing that, then the back of the neck muscles are not as strong. They're not doing the work. The jaw, I've noticed, tends to overcompensate. So again, I would always say, well, what's going on physically first? And then let's look at the psychological piece. Well, to be honest, the posture, that is a psychological reaching and a trying thing. So it's all knitted together. But the locking and loading here, so many people, they talk about, oh, he's got grit, she's got grit. They're gritting their teeth, they're biting down, they're gripping. There's so many expressions that we associate with having grit, and that goes into the jaw, right?
Mm-hmm.
But whenever I release my jaw, interestingly, I get a tickle in my throat. It's almost as if my voice is going, oh, I want to release now, because there was something that I'm still working on, what needs to release. I'm working with my hypnotherapist on what needs to release for me.
Wow.
Because we're all in this work because we have our own stuff to work on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up in an environment where I had to shut my own emotions down because of the people I was around. And so I didn't, in some ways I did have a voice because I was encouraged to sing, but in other ways I was discouraged. I wasn't able to speak up and scream or shout or cry or play or be loud as a child, and that caused, I think that's where mine comes from. Right. So anyway, I've turned it, well, we all know that telling story about ourselves is part of the work we do as hypnotherapists. Milton Erickson, the forefather of maternal hypnosis, uses it all the time. But it's so interesting, isn't it, how clamping down, it stops the emotion coming out of our mouth.
Mm-hmm. Controls it.
You're right, yeah.
It allows it to have the free-flowing channel.
Yeah.
Ariel, sorry, I've been cutting you off. So what would you like to ask or share?
I do want to share. I've worked with clients with TMJ who are not performers necessarily, but often I'm noticing that it's coming back to that restraint, going way back to childhood. It seems to be a common theme with the TMJ clients. So I think that, acting is such a vulnerable, or acting and singing or performing is so vulnerable. And so of course our bodies kind of start to activate and protect us, because it, in a way, putting yourself out there feels very, very vulnerable. So, it's just incredible, the training that you're doing and melding everything in one. It's really, really exciting.
That's so interesting that you. Go ahead. No, it's just so interesting that you've noticed that with clients, that the TMJ release so often goes back to a root, and a very, very early root. Because I've definitely noticed the same. It's really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with clearing the lens, would you say that there's any sort of misconceptions or any correlations that you would say using hypnotherapy with voice work has? So I don't know, does the media say certain things? Like, have you ever come up with any sort of maybe resistance to people with hypnotherapy and voice work?
Gosh, that's a really good question. I think not specifically with voice work, just the fact that it bugs me that there are so many people who would do this work if they knew that hypnotherapy is such a safe, joyful, beautiful experience. I think that a lot of people, rather than having a misconception, I think a lot of people just don't understand how powerful hypnotherapy can be to help artists drop into flow state. And when you're in flow state, your voice just flows. When your brain has gone into theta or even alpha, and out of that beta state, then the ideas flow. Your breath flows differently. You allow your body to breathe breathing from the diaphragm rather than from your collarbones. And as a result, the voice can flow easily. So I think I want to sort of just bring home to people the fact that hypnotherapy is such a powerful way to remove that self-sabotage, that mental self-talk, that the I can'ts and that's rubbish and all of that talk, to bring themselves into flow state so they can breathe more easily and they can relax their vocal muscles, well, all of their muscles. So I just wish more people knew that they could use hypnosis as a tool for unlocking their voice.
100%. When you're saying that, like, if people knew that you can access flow through hypnotherapy pretty easily, like, I think people would be like, sign me up right away.
Give it
But
to me
with all
now.
the regular misconceptions that we see in movie, TV shows, theater shows, stage shows, like it's kind of used as a gimmick. And I'm wondering where it went to a gimmick type thing, because like where it started, it was pretty kind of professional, I would say, and like you're doing a lot of medical hypnotherapy and stuff like that. Like, when do you have any idea? This is actually a question I'm asking. When it changed from being kind of respected in the medical world to something that became a show, and to now it just not being respected anymore. Do you guys have any idea? I actually don't know.
Well, I'm trying to think back to the days of Anton Mesmer, where mesmerism came from, because I think although he was doing it for the purpose of healing clients, he was quite a showman. And then he started to get a bit weird with it and he got amazing results with clients and then got a bit wacky and started to wear these big cloaks and waving wands and doing all this stuff. And that's when he got discredited. There's something I personally think the ego got in the way of the work, and that's when things changed. But he was there was quite a lot of, from what I can glean, quite a lot of
theatrics,
kind of a theatrical air about what he was doing. I mean, I wasn't there in the room, but that's what I get from our studying and what we learned about Mesmer. But I think what comes to mind is those images of people. I shouldn't even bring those images up, because we know that even bringing an image up is unhelpful to someone's mind, because we want to get people to realize that it's the opposite to that.
Correct.
But just those images of stage hypnotists making people do silly things on stage, which we all know is not possible. But there's trickery. They trick people they hypnotize people into believing they
can do certain things for the show. And it's something that we always talk about, when I'm talking to a new client that might be apprehensive, is that everybody's they're getting asked permission, even in these stage shows. Like, if they're not really allowing these suggestions to happen, they don't continue with the stage show. And so I definitely, know that I know how it works, but it's just, was curious as to, like, when did it become to be such a gimmick as opposed to like showing the powerful work that that's possible with it. And even to this day, some people that I work with in reality TV world, on one new show that just started, Big Brother, there's a woman that's a hypnotist or hypnotherapist, and I'm sure she's done something very similar to us. I'm going to do some research to see if she got trained by the same schooling that we did. And they're already making fun of her and like being like, oh, where's your, and I'm like, it's fine. I get how people relate hypnotherapy or hypnotists, probably as opposed to hypnotherapy. But it's just shocking that people that are my age, my contemporaries, like that still have that completely, like don't really see the value in it in the way that we do. So I'm happy that we're here. We're at least open the eyes to some people to how powerful hypnotherapy can be, especially for the voice.
And I think so much of what we do is just talking about hypnotherapy and what it isn't, and what we know about it, because scientists are still figuring out the phenomenon that it is, and there is a lot of information coming out, but we definitely know what it isn't. So I think that that's really, really helpful, and it's an educational process, I feel like, at its core, and through that education, you're able to empower your clients.
Yeah, exactly.
So we also like to take a look and see maybe people in the celebrity world and see who may have not used this hypnotherapy before. And so today, number one on the call sheet, we have Keira Knightley. And so we kind of learned that Keira Knightley used it to overcome any anxiety that she was having around acting. And that probably is something very common. Does that come up for you even with your voice work through like in hypnotherapy, like anxiety around maybe stage fright, performance anxiety, etc.?
Yeah, that's massive. And to be honest, most of the hypnotherapy work I've gravitated towards, if it's not a voice issue, it's performance anxiety and stage fright, and people just terrified of the pressure of being on a professional stage or behind camera, and getting the mental, the self-sabotage that they go through after performance or after a rehearsal with a big director, and they're just beating themselves up and bashing themselves. Oh, I didn't say it right, or I didn't do this right. And they're just holding themselves in a state of anxiety. And we all know that that's not a place that's conducive to creativity. So anxiety for artists is a massive topic that we work on.
Definitely. And it's nice to know, though, some of that are favorite celebrities or favorite artists, that they use hypnotherapy and they have similar, issues, apprehension, ailments that we also go through. Sometimes, I might get stage fright, or, just to know, though, that somebody like Keira Knightley also kind of went through this as well. And so we like bringing a little bit of the human level of some of these celebrities and stars to allow us to understand that people use hypnotherapy to overcome a lot of different things in the creative arts. So today was Keira Knightley.
Oh, I love that. I love sharing that, because I think you're right. We put these people on a pedestal, but they are humans, and any of us being in the right place at the right time with the right casting director in the room, or whoever, or the right director, may find ourselves in the public eye and under scrutiny. And when you can release that fear, because you know that it's their stuff, not yours, their BS, not yours, then it's very, very empowering.
Absolutely.
And when I say BS, I mean belief systems.
It's kind of the same, though, I would say. And so this kind of leads us into our cutting room floor here. So we want to kind of maybe release some of these limiting beliefs around maybe the voice, what the voice is capable of doing, maybe to help with the hypno session that you are going to lead. So Ariel, what are some maybe beliefs that we might want to leave on the cutting room floor?
Oh my goodness. Today I feel like I have a lot. Where do I even begin? Taking up space.
Oof.
A big one for me. And I know that I'm not alone. And I just think that it's some kind of deeply ingrained thing that I've been carrying with me for all of my 37 years that I'm so ready to let go. I found myself in a class recently, which was really exciting. It's the first time I've been in an in-person class in 2 years. I was just like so thrilled. But then I also found myself going, oh my goodness, I'm taking up too much time. I'm taking up too much space. Like, I need to stop this. And so when the acting coach asked me if I wanted to do another take, I did a few and I was pretty happy with it. And then I just decided, I said no. And then I sat down and he was like, okay, that's fine, whatever. And then I sat down and I was like, why did I say no? And then I was like, oh, you don't want to take up space. And so it's not just in like energetics. I'm clearly the quieter one on the show. And I've always been a little bit of a hider, but I do feel like there's the inner me is this little child who's just like, I want to perform. I want to connect. I want to, tell stories and all of that. So that,
you know what?
I'm going to let it go.
The hypnotherapist in me wants to interrupt you, and I want to interrupt your neural pathway.
Sure.
Because you said, I've always been a bit of a hider.
Yeah.
And so listen to the language that you're using.
Right.
So when we say, and I mean, we all do it. I get called out on this myself all the time, and we all do. But when you say, I've always been, so I'll tell you the story about me, knowing that you'll read between the lines. When a few years ago, I used to say, oh, I'm always so clumsy.
Mm-hmm.
Until I realized that was my mother's belief system, not mine. I was in fight flight for most of my childhood because of the circumstances I was growing up in. I was in a constant frantic, response. No wonder I was clumsy. Any child would be in that situation, Now I can look back at that and laugh because I've done the inner work. But I realized that my belief system, my BS, was, oh, I'm always clumsy. And so I would go around saying, oh, I'm always clumsy. Oh, I've always been. And I was basically I was hypnotizing myself to be clumsy.
Exactly.
So I wanted to interrupt you there deliberately, which is a bit mean considering this is about you having a voice. But
when we shine a light on things, we're able to heal.
Exactly. Shine a light on say, okay, so what would you prefer? What belief system would you prefer to have in place of that old belief system, which doesn't necessarily have to be yours?
That I deserve, just like anybody else, to take up space, I guess. I don't know. It feels weird to say, but
yeah. I deserve, just like every other human on this planet, I deserve to take up space. Why would you be the only human on the planet that isn't allowed to take up space and everybody is?
Right? I don't know. And I feel like if it were my client, I would be saying the exact same thing. But we all have our blind spots. And so, so that's a thing for me. And, the more work we do, the more layers that are revealed and everything like that. But yeah, I would like to take up more space.
Oh my God.
Now I'm like, oh my God, am I going to get called out? What am I going to say? No, I'm just kidding.
You'll probably call me out as well, because, our teacher, Grace, was always saying, when you're inside the bottle, you can't read the label, which is absolutely right.
Right.
I can't read my label because I'm inside my own bottle. So when someone calls me out on stuff, that, yeah.
Well, and if you want to maybe put in there, because similar to Ariel, like I've never really had a problem speaking up or speaking my mind. It could be because I'm an air sign as well. And I've always been really chatty, but I have been told to tone it down at times. And so it kind of ends up translating to dampering my light, dampering my voice, closing off my voice, not choosing when I want to share things, just because it's like, oh, am I going to be perceived as one way or another? And so just in a kind of that same lane, being a little more free and less controlled about when I'm using my voice. Maybe I would like to put on that cutting room floor and maybe open that up a little bit more.
Oh, I love this idea. And have you actually used the imagery or the feeling of putting these things on the cutting room floor in a hypnosis session?
We haven't specifically yet, but we've both been talking about like we should make a specific like hypno session that uses all this kind of terminology. So yes, but no.
Okay, good. Well, the reason I asked that is because my instinct went, oh, cutting room floor. So obviously our jobs as hypnotherapists is to use the analogies and the metaphors that you automatically come out with during a session. And so when you said cutting room floor, my wheels started turning, and I was like, I just had this image of you taking those belief systems, you know, out of the old movie tape and just. But I'm going to leave you to do that because you two are geniuses of what you're doing, and I'm going to do something else. Oh, okay.
One other one is, I think we talked about it a little bit beforehand, was me having the belief that I don't have any range anymore. Now that I'm older, I used to smoke cigarettes, you know, I still every once in a while have one, but I'm always like, but there's some singers that smoke packs a day. And so I'm like, so anyways, I just feel as though my vocal range has shrunk. And so maybe an opening of my vocal range would be something that I would like to maybe happen, or maybe the idea or misconception that my vocal range has shortened or closed, or I'm not capable of singing as well as I used to when I was younger.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we know as hypnotherapists that much of the work we do is in the conversational part of hypnosis as well as the going in and the deep dive. When I say conversational hypnosis, of course, it's not possible for me to hypnotize you into anything using conversation because you'll only take on suggestions you want. But my instinct is to actually talk about this in conversation now, this part of what you've just said, and say that, you know, the science of it is simple. Your vocal instrument is, I'm really sorry to tell you, is exactly the same as every other person's vocal instrument in the world. Unless there's something physiologically wrong, like you're missing a vocal fold, it is going to be exactly the same. When you stick a camera down your throat and you look at it, I would put my money on the fact the mechanism you have in here is exactly the same as everybody else's. All it needs is for you to free up the right muscles in the right way so that you can access those upper registers because they belong to you. You have those upper registers just as much as I do.
I'm going to cry. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
right? Yeah, no, please. We all know that crying is great. So yeah, go for it. Please do. But yeah, because you do, because all it requires is for you to shift your instrument interestingly, into the cry position. So when you stretch your tongue out, when you allow yourself to go into that part of the voice, you have those sounds there. It's just a case of giving yourself permission to make those sounds. And quite often, this is where our internal hearing is a big old liar. Our internal hearing it thinks that what it's hearing is what's coming out of us. And so when we make a sound that our body is not used to sensing, hearing, vibration, sound waves, whatever, then our nervous system or our subconscious mind even goes, I can't make that sound, it's not me. But of course, when I'm teaching voice, I'll always say, you know, I want you to embrace the ugliest sound you can, and we'll go from there. Ooh. When you make an ugly sound, it's actually the best. I mean, come on, was Liza Minnelli worrying about making an ugly sound when she sang? I highly doubt it. All the best singers embrace the rawness of their beautifully vulnerable, open, emotionally connected voices, and then they make it pretty after. Does that sort of give you
cool? Yeah, so I'm just like, my mind's just going, all these thoughts, all these ideas. I really feel like I could talk to you for hours, but we're going to move now into the hypnotherapy part of it that you are going to lead us through, which is really amazing. So thank you for that. Ariel, do you want to just have our little safety meeting before we get into the actual session? Maybe not, because she might be frozen.
Maybe somebody else do.
All right. So before any hypnotherapy or hypnosis session, we definitely want to make sure that we're in a comfortable position, that nothing around us might hurt us. Definitely not driving any sort of motor vehicle or anything like that. Just make sure you're really safe and you're able to really relax. Do you have anything to add, Katie?
Just that the more you listen to a recording, the deeper it goes and the longer it lasts.
Perfect. Okay.
One
Well,
question before we dive in. This is, how long shall I do? About 20 to 30 minutes?
exactly. I'm going to see if, Ariel, I know that you just turned off your camera. I don't know if you can hear, but are you like hard too, or is there a little bit of flexibility around 20 to 30 minutes? Not sure. Maybe we've lost her.
I think she's writing in a chat, so
okay,
we might see something coming up in the chat.
Okay, well, do you know what? Whatever feels good to you, and if Ariel needs to pop out, we can close out the show together. So, just whatever feels natural. Don't feel that you need to completely shorten it unless you are in a time crunch yourself.
Okay. Do you know what? I think what I'll do is I'll do a relatively short induction so we can spend more of the time doing the deep stuff. So, yeah. Okay. We're going to go ahead. We'll aim for somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes, and we'll go with the flow and see what comes up.
Okay.
So,
is there going to be any recall that you would want? Are you going to be talking with me, or is it going to be something that people can listen to and they can walk themselves through as well?
You know what? Good question. I'm glad you asked. I'm going to make it group hypnosis style, so you don't have to speak out loud. So actually, if you want to mute yourself, then that may be really, really helpful. Because then if you do say anything, or if you cry, or if anything comes out, you know that you're safe to make as much noise as you like.
Awesome. Actually, can I ask one little question? This is just, I'm just curious about some of the sessions that you do. Do you ever take people through actual vocal exercises while in hypnosis? So is that ever part of some of your practice?
Such a good question. If it comes up organically in a session, absolutely yes. So I had a client the other day who came to me, and she had, I don't want to go, everything we do is confidential, so I'm not going to go into detail, but she had a very traumatic experience at birth, and we had to release a lot around there, but she was experiencing vocal tension. So she came to me for her session saying, I've got all this tension. And so I said, let's do some stretches. I gave her some voice stuff. Then we went into hypnosis and we did the same stretches and unlocking while in hypnosis. And that created such a deep release. It was just,
I'm obsessed right now. This is so good. Okay.
Oh,
I love it.
You're giving me right. Okay, slight change. If I can add this in, we're going to do some actual voice work in the hypnosis session. When I say voice work, I mean gentle humming, some opening up, some resonance work, rather than working on a sentence or a song. If you want to apply it to that, brilliant, great. But we might just do a little bit of opening up voice work at the same time. So if you're at home and you've got some space, lie on the floor, if you like, on your back with your knees bent and your feet flat on the ground, semi-supine. But
not today, but maybe when I listen to this back.
No, you stay there. Okay, let's see how much I can squeeze into the next 20 to 30 minutes. All right, so start with your eyes closed. Take a nice, deep, easy breath, a release breath. Almost as if you're having a nice, indulgent, stroppy sigh, as if you're already releasing some stuff out of your body. Good. Take a couple more breaths just like that. And every single release breath that you take, I want you to imagine that you're already going deeper, deeper into a lovely, relaxed state. And you may like to pretend that you're already in a deep, deep relaxation, simply by imagining that you're going deeper now. You may start to find yourself relaxing and releasing. Good. Now, bring all of your awareness to the top of your head and imagine a color forming there, a color that you associate with feeling so confident and so self-assured that you can take up space, that it's a color that you absolutely love. And you may think it's a color that you associate with the throat chakra, if that feels right. Or it may be a color that you associate with shining and sparkling. Whatever you experience is perfect for you. And imagine your beautiful color now pouring in through the top of your head as you say your color out loud now. That's right. Imagine it pouring in all the way through your forehead, smoothing out any creases into your eyelids, into your mind. Imagine your beautiful color pouring through every peak and valley of your brain as if your beautiful color is washing away anything that might get in the way of your beautiful voice being free. Imagine your beautiful color pouring through your cheekbones, your jaw, your throat, your tongue, all the way down into your voice. Imagine your beautiful color pouring through your voice, your larynx, as if it's washing it with a wonderful sensation of safety, as if you're already telling your voice, you are safe to release now. As if you're telling your voice, you're safe to be heard. As if you're telling yourself, I'm safe to be seen. Good. Now imagine your beautiful color flowing into your shoulders, down your arms, into the palms of your hands and the fingertips. Perhaps you can even feel your fingertips tingling. Imagine your beautiful color pouring into your heart, washing around your heart, as if your heart is already opening up now, knowing that you're safe in this beautiful experience to release what needs to be released so that your voice can be free. And send your beautiful color into your lungs, your diaphragm, as if you're breathing easily, into your torso, flowing into your hips. Because when you can release your hips, that usually means you can release your jaw as well. So release your hips. And then feel the color flowing into your legs, your knees, your calves, your shins, down into your ankles, your feet, your arches of your feet, all the way down to the tips of your toes, as if your color is flowing through you, taking you deeper and deeper now. As if you're going on a beautiful journey deep inside your mind where you can release things that no longer serve you so that you can have a voice that you love sharing. Really good. Now let's deepen this beautiful state even more. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you to open and close your eyes. And when you close your eyes, imagine another wave of your perfect color flowing in through the top of your head, washing you clean, taking you deeper and deeper. Good. So open your eyes up now, look up to the ceiling or sky. And then close your eyes as you relax and feel your color pouring through you, taking you deeper and deeper. And it's as if all problems are 1,000,000 miles away right now, as you're safe to relax, safe to release. Perhaps you can even imagine that every cell in your body is tingling and buzzing with this beautiful color. Really good. So let's do this again. I want you to open your eyes and look up. And close your eyes deeper and deeper now. Drift and float all the way down. And if you hear any noises, I wonder if you can imagine that that's taking you deeper and deeper. As if the yowling of my beautiful cat is a signal to go even deeper. I wonder if animals ever worry about how they sound, or if they just let their voices fly free because they have something to express. And if my cat can howl loudly, then so can we. So go ahead, open your eyes up one more time, looking up to the ceiling. And close your eyes all the way down, going deeper and deeper. Really good. Feeling your perfect color pouring in through the top of your head, taking you deeper and deeper, all the way down. Flowing out through the bottoms of your feet as if it's flushing out anything that might get in the way of you relaxing deeply now. Beautiful. Now I'm going to count from 5 down to 1. With each decreasing number I say, it's as if you're drifting and floating, or perhaps safely sinking into your safe place. A place where you feel safe to express yourself. And this is a place where you are safe to release what needs to be released so that you can love your voice and you can love showing up, knowing that you fully deserve to be heard. This is a place where you know that you deserve to show up and to free your voice. A place where you can shine your light so brightly that your inner child gets to jump for joy and excitement because you get to share your voice just how your inner child wants you to. Good. Going even deeper now. 5. Drift and float towards your safe place. 4. Even deeper now. All sounds taking you deeper and deeper. 3. And you may notice your mind may wander, and that's perfect because your unconscious mind can hear every word that I say as my voice goes with you. 2. Feeling into the velvety darkness behind your eyelids as you drift and float, and perhaps you can sense that you're already near your safe place. And 1. Be there now inside your safe place. Notice how wonderful it feels to be here, inside your safe place. So notice the wonderful fragrances, take in some lovely deep inhalations, feeling your torso expand as you breathe in the fragrances, and you may like to let out a sigh of relaxation. Whatever comes, allow the sound to flow. Beautiful. And notice the sounds here. You may like to imagine that it's as if every sound is here to remind you that you are free to make sound. It's as if every sound you can hear, if there are sounds, are reminding you that your sounds are valid. Just as you are valid, that means your voice is valid. Good. And you may like to reach out and touch something, feel the texture, the smoothness or the roughness. Perhaps you can even feel the temperature. So notice that now. Notice how good this feels. Really good. And if there's a taste, a healthy taste, you may like to taste this healthy taste now, even if that's just a glass of beautifully hydrating, cool, clear water. Lovely. And notice the colors and the quality of the light inside your safe place. And you can turn the brightness up if you choose, making it powerful and bold and strong. Or you can choose to turn the colors down so that they're gentle and peaceful. Whatever you choose is perfect because you are always in control, which means you call the shots. And you've chosen to come here because you are ready to free your voice, because you're ready to understand that you are valid and worthy exactly as you are. In fact, the truth is, no matter how your voice sounds, you are valid and worthy. And the more you love your voice, the more you support your voice, the more your voice supports you. So I want you to find somewhere lovely to sit or lie down. And when you do, imagine that you're going even deeper. 3, going deeper and deeper now. 2, trusting what comes. And 1, deeply relaxed now. Whether you're seated or lying down, or perhaps even floating, notice how good this feels. Good. Now, because you are ready to shine your light, and to make sure that your voice is heard, and to know that you are valid, that you're valid to share your voice. I'm going to count from 3 down to 1 and snap my fingers. And when I do, your voice, as if it were a little cartoon character or an energy or a picture or an object, your voice is going to jump out there before you so that you can see it for all it is, for everything that it is. 3, going all the way down now. 2, trusting what comes, and 1. See, feel, or sense your voice there before you. And notice. Notice with compassion as you observe your voice there. And I want you to say to your voice, either silently or out loud, go ahead and say to it, "Thank you so much for serving me for all these years." And I know you're doing your best. And I'm here to serve you as well. And notice how your voice responds now that it feels heard and seen and acknowledged. And then say to your voice, "I see you. And I hear you. And I acknowledge you. And I love you. Because you do so much for me." Notice how your voice responds, what it does or says. And now go ahead and do for your voice what you love to do for it. So if that means give it a hug or give it a gift, go ahead and do that now. Give your voice some love, or perhaps you can give your voice a spa day and imagine your voice having a jacuzzi and a sauna or a steam room. Give your voice the gift that it deserves now. As you give your voice the love, knowing that the more you love your voice, the more your voice will serve you. The more you love your voice, the more your voice will serve you. The more you love your voice, the more your voice will serve you. And now notice your beautiful voice there, however you observe it, and notice whether there's anything that needs to be released from it. Perhaps any sentences or thoughts in speech bubbles or any cords that attach it to past hurts, past wounds. Just notice what's there without judgment or labeling, just notice. Whatever you notice is perfect. That's what your voice has shown you it needs to be released today. Good. And whatever emotion comes up, allow it to flow through you. That's exactly right. Knowing that any feelings are great because that's your body releasing what needs to be released. And then thank your voice for showing you what needs to be released from it. As if you are improving your relationship with your voice more and more. And as you notice these things that are ready to be released, I'm going to count from 3 down to 1 and snap my fingers. And then I want you to notice your powerful magical toolkit there. And inside your toolkit, you'll find exactly what you need to release these things from your voice so that your voice can feel free and open and secure in the knowledge that your voice deserves to be heard. 3, going even deeper. 2, trusting what comes in that toolkit. And 1, see, feel, or sense the toolkit there, your magic toolkit, and reach inside and notice what's there to help release all of those things that your voice is ready to release now. It could be a lightsaber or a pair of scissors to cut some cords, or it could be one of those squeegee things that window cleaners use to clean the outside of your voice, or it could be something else entirely. Whatever you have found inside your toolkit, I want you to use this now to release those things that your voice is ready to release. And I wonder if you can imagine as you do this, that your voice is getting a beautiful feeling of relaxation and release happening as you let go of these old things. Going even deeper now, deeper and deeper. And you may notice these things being cut and released away, or being washed away, as if the soap suds are washing it down into the ground and being beautifully transmuted into something beneficial. Or perhaps it feels as if those old thoughts or unhelpful things are floating up like clouds or butterflies drifting away. Whatever you're experiencing now is perfect for you. And it's as if you are getting your beautiful voice back. So keep going now while I'm silent for a few moments, cleaning and clearing your beautiful voice of everything that it's ready to release right now. Really good. And you may even start to notice your throat feeling different, simply because you've released these things already now. Notice how your voice now looks or sounds, how you sense it. And then go ahead and say to your voice out loud, "You deserve to be heard." Just like every human on this planet, you deserve to take up space. You deserve to shine your light on the whole world. And there will always be people who love it and people who don't, and that's great. Because their responses are their BS. And their responses have nothing to do with you. Because you are whole and perfect exactly as you are. Really good. Now I want you to imagine, as I count from 3 down to 1 and snap my fingers, that a beautiful, powerful, white, bright, healing light is going to shine down onto your voice, smothering it in a beautiful, covering it in a beautiful, light, free, open sensation that protects your voice from other people's stuff, other people's opinions. Stay outside that light, that shield. It can be an egg or a powerful shield, however you experience it. It's perfect and correct. 3, going even deeper. 2, trusting what comes. And 1, feel the light shining down onto your voice, covering your voice, beautifully protecting it so that the only things that can come in are love and light and all the good stuff. And I wonder if you can imagine that every time you share your voice, that you sing or you speak, your sound waves, your vibrations, your feelings, your inspiration flies out of your voice through the shield and lights up the people around you. And I wonder if you can imagine that anyone's opinions that are not helpful bounce off that shield and right back at them. Notice how good it feels as you imagine somebody perhaps saying a comment based on their BS, and it bounces off the shield and right back at them. And notice how good it feels as you share your voice so openly and freely, knowing that you trust your voice more and more because your voice trusts you. You trust your voice more and more because your voice trusts you. And it feels so good, doesn't it, when you know that you can trust your voice because your voice can trust you. Really good. Now imagine someone giving you a compliment that you would like to accept. And imagine this beautiful compliment coming through the shield into your voice. And imagine your voice going, oh, yes, that felt lovely. Imagine how good it feels when you know that your voice is valid and whole and worthy exactly as it is, because you deserve to be heard and you deserve to be seen. Beautiful. And notice this shimmering, shining, beautiful light lighting up your whole voice. And when I count from 3 down to 1 and snap my fingers, your beautiful, shimmering, shining voice is going to jump back inside you where it lives, supporting you as you support it more and more every single day. 3, going even deeper. 2, trusting what comes. And 1. Jumping inside you now as you can feel your voice inside you, shining and shimmering, so beautifully protected because you are safe to share your voice. The more you share your voice, the better you feel, because you are speaking your truth and you are singing your truth. And the more you use your voice to do good in the world, the more you trust your voice and the more powerful your voice is becoming now. Beautiful job. Good. Take a nice deep letting go breath. And when you've experienced this wonderful feeling in the whole of your body, mind, soul, and you've felt it in every single cell, every fiber of your being, this powerful transformation, then just let me know by putting a beautiful smile on your face. Excellent job. All right, so I'm going to count you back up in a moment. But before I do, when I reach 5, you'll emerge feeling refreshed and alert, so confident, knowing that you can always return to your safe place anytime you choose, and knowing that your voice will always be there to support you and love you because you love your voice more and more every day. All right, 1, starting to come back now. 2, moving your feet and your toes. 3, your hands, your fingers. 4, deepening your breath, getting ready to open your eyes. And 5, open your eyes. Have a stretch if that feels good. And beautiful job. Your voice is free.
My voice is free. What was really interesting is, so my safe place, which was very surprising, first started out, so there was a specific theater that we used from I was 9 years old all the way through high school. It was the same theater. And even when they renovated the school, they kept the theater the same. So all my, like, even separately from school, my dance recitals and stuff like that, they use this particular theater. So all my performance stuff growing up was in this theater. And so that was my safe place, but I was in the audience for it, which was like, I was like, that's interesting. So then when we found a place to lie down, I went and I sat or lie down, but I lied down on the stage. And I was just reminded of like how comfortable I felt on stage, and like that it was a safe place because I just performed there so many times, whether it was dance or drama or choir, like all my performances were all on this particular stage. And so I was like, wow, that was an interesting safe place. Like usually it's like a nice tree stump or like, you know, on a beach, but like this was the theater. And so the voice that came out was, oh yeah, I should put my little moniker up here.
My God. I got so in the zone with what came through that I completely forgot to do the voice work.
Oh, it's totally fine.
The inspiration came to me and I just went with what felt intuitive. Sorry, I just interrupted you.
That's totally fine. No, and that's however, whatever comes up in the moment, I always believe intuition is guiding us for what's most important in each session. So it was perfect. And so the voice that came out was like a mini me. And what I realized is that firstly, that I learned at, I guess it seemed like about 4 years old or 5 years old, that people didn't take me seriously and listen to me if I was too high voice. So I also learned to be a little more deeper in my voice, to be heard when I was young, because they wouldn't listen to me about certain things. And so I learned that. And then the other thing I learned was that I wasn't heard for some things when I was in high school.
Right.
And so like my mom didn't listen to some advice, and we got into kind of a sticky situation with a partner of hers that I never liked. And I told her, but she didn't hear me. And so
Right.
I'm realizing that those the two things that kind of came up as to like what needed to be healed was the fact that like I have a belief that I'm only respected and heard when I use the lower register of my voice, and also that in important times sometimes I'm not heard. And so those are the two things that kind of came up for me that I was able to heal.
Wow, that's amazing. You've just given me tingles from head to toe. And I don't know about you, but whenever I get tingles, that's my subconscious mind going, truth, that's it, that's it. Yeah. It's like my soul is like, that's the thing, do that thing.
Yes, and it was so sad because like, you know, like just wanting to be heard, like even though like I know I've always had a pretty strong voice, but now I'm realizing like the lowness, the deepness of it was kind of like a way for me to be heard. And so maybe not allowing that vulnerable side to come in was because it wasn't respected when I was younger.
Yeah, but how interesting that this is the thing that we know as hypnotherapists is there's never a negative emotion or a negative trait. There are only traits that we learn in the moment to serve us, and they might not serve us anymore. But so what your subconscious mind now realizes is that, oh, okay, I was doing something to get me through a situation so I could get what I wanted and get what I needed, which was to feel heard and seen, which at that time was to lower my voice. But now what we need to do is be heard and seen by unlocking other parts of my voice. And it's safe to do that, but still have the lower part. So you've got all of it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So
good.
Cool. So cool. It was really amazing. And also then, you know, I kind of had like a tube of white light that kind of came down, and then it was like focused on like my throat area. And it was kind of like just sending out beams of white light was like when my voice was being shared. And so and I was able to connect with people, and like it was pretty cool visually. And what my voice needed, it was so cute. It seemed kind of like a cartoon version of it, but it was like it just seemed like a spa day. So it just like laid down, it had like cucumbers on its eyes, and it's just like my little it was a mini me, but it was like my voice like it's being taken care of with the little robe, and just like
I don't know where that spa day idea came in, but it just plopped into my brain, and I just spa day, this is what your voice needs. The cucumbers.
So cute.
This is the thing, how often do we actually nourish and nurture our voices rather than beat it up because it's not doing it right? Rather than going, actually, you know what? You're amazing. I love you. You're serving me, and I love you, and I promise to serve you just like you've been serving me. It's like you are what's the word? I was going to say rejigging. I'm having a day of. I'm very tired today. I'm having a day of words.
I understand.
Recalibrating, reviving your relationship, your rapport with your voice.
Yes,
that's what it is.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So one thing we do like to do to close out is pull a little card. So do you have any cards that you have, or
me?
I have as well? But like if you want to share one as well, we both can pull a card if you would like to.
Oh, as in, do I get to pull one of your cards, or do I go and get my own cards?
You get your own cards and pull one for the collective.
Will I? One moment, please. So I have so many packs. Are we going to do one each? Because I would love you to pull a card as well.
Yes, I'm going to. I have traditional tarot, so if you want to do something different.
I have the good tarot, which
she's Canadian, Colette Baron Reed.
Yes, yeah.
I have that one too.
Oh, just love them. Tell you what, you go first, because I'm still, tarot is something I've gone on instinct with, but I've not been trained how to do it properly. I just listen to the intuition come through.
That's basically with tarot in general. Yes, every card has its meaning, but it's just a vehicle for you to tune in and tap into your intuition. So however the card speaks to you is perfect. So
yeah, exactly.
Interesting. So I got the 2 of Swords in reverse. So whenever I see reverse cards, I think of blocked energy. And I think that this is what we are working through today. And so if you notice, this person, their eyes are blindfold against their eyes, and their arms are crossed against their heart. And those swords are an air sign. So that's like thoughts, ideas, and the mind. It could also be considered the voice. And so I'm wondering, we're kind of with our arms crossed here. I think she may be cutting off her connection with the divine and her like spirit and her inner guidance, been cutting it off and closing off her voice. And so I think with the session today that we are allowing that connection to come back in so we can reconnect ourselves with the voice and in turn be able to send that energy and that your voice outward. And so she's crossing off her heart, but now if we're releasing that, it's kind of like she's opening her heart. So within opening her heart, she's also opening her voice to allow the connection to come through so she can speak it to the collective.
Yeah, that is beautiful. That idea of
this
channel. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling such a buzz in my heart, having this connection and this feeling of just like, this is really heart centered. So this idea of opening this up is
having it all, because I don't know if you ever worked with Reiki energy, but what you're kind of taught is that you are a channel, right? So you just allowing the divine energy to kind of flow through you, and you are able to heal, read, sometimes messages come through. And so I'm kind of taking it as that concept is having the inner guidance and the divine come through you, and it's just being shared through your voice and through your heart. I think it's all kind of connected.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes, exactly. Wow. Oh, well, I picked, and these of course are in the 1 to 10 of water, which is the Buddha. And I love this one because it's all about tuning into your well-being, about actually allowing, a state of allowing rather than push and drive, and I have to force this. And actually that's so relevant to the voice, because when we push and drive and force something, it resists, a bit like corn flour and water. When you mix it together, it just resists. When you let go and you allow, that's often when the voice can unlock and be free. And so this idea of the 10 of water, it's about peacefulness and serenity and well-being. It's all about well-being. And we just did the voice spa, so well-being.
Well, when I look at that card as well, so 10s are new beginnings with lessons learned. So it's like a 1, but with like lessons. And so this idea of new beginnings, water is about emotions and relationships and intuition. So it seemed also to me like it's a new beginning, a new connection with that emotional side, or that emotional guidance that we're kind of wanting to share as we kind of get in touch with our well-being and taking care and nurturing our voice. I think that this is also representing a new beginning in that area.
It's so good to have you explain the deeper detail of the tarot. I want to know more from you.
I love tarot. I mean, I love tarot. I love all these things. And usually people that like one will like all of them or be intrigued and interested in all of them. So if you ever want to have any conversations, or if you have a podcast and you'd like a guest, I would love to chat more with you about all the things that we love in this world that we're navigating through, this artistic world.
Right. Beautiful artistic world of creativity. It's just the best.
Well, now, is there anything else that you maybe would like to share before we close out our session today?
I just think there's one affirmation that no matter how you sound, your voice is valid. And that aesthetic is such a Western concept, If you go to certain parts of the world, I think, where did she say? A friend of mine went to, I think it was Venezuela, somewhere in that part of the world. And she said that over there, people don't, when they sing, if someone sings and another person criticizes their singing, the person will say, well, you're not listening right. It's just a cultural thing that people just sing and they share their voice, and it's just ownership of their voice. There's none of this idea of, oh, it being out of tune or not being this or not being that or not being aesthetically pleasing. That's such a kind of screwed up Western concept.
Like Instagramming your voice.
Right?
But we want to be a TikTok voice.
Yeah, exactly. I say Western concept, and Venezuela is not like East side where it's not about the
I understand what you mean.
but it's this cultural thing in oh my gosh, yeah, the Instagram self-judgment. Every voice is valid.
Beautiful.
And every single voice.
Thank you so much, Katie. Honestly, it was really a pleasure having you here today, sharing your gifts, sharing your voice, and allowing us to open up our own. So do you have anything that you would like to share with anybody that might listen or watch this session?
Well, I'd love to say, come and follow me on Instagram and get in touch. If you want some help with voice unlocking, there we are. Come get in touch. Come see me and ask me questions, and I will answer them, or I will do my best.
Just from my own personal understanding, so you have two programs that you have right now. So Fearless Performance, Hypnosis, and Vocal Freedom. What are the difference between those two?
Good question. I'm still learning how to explain it. Vocal Freedom is a group voice coaching, so technical voice, but it's also a very, very holistic training where you can get one-to-one if you do the VIP version, but it's basically voice training, but from the perspective of hypnotherapists. So in that, we do weekly calls where we do a deep dive into all the aspects: mind, body, voice, spirit, which is brackets performance. So that's Vocal Freedom. It's a gorgeous tribe of unbelievably kind, supportive people. I screen everyone who comes in to make sure that they're a good fit for the group. But we can also do VIP one-to-one stuff in there, but that's Vocal Freedom. My signature program is Fearless Performance Hypnosis. I'm starting to think I might change the name to Fearless Performance Unlocking. Because it is hypnosis, but it's not just standard hypnosis. There's so much we do in there. But Fearless Performance Unlocking, Fearless Performance Hypnosis is a 12-week deep dive into healing the subconscious, mental, emotional blocks holding you back. And we do everything that there's a whole beautiful journey that we go through. It's a wonderful deep dive, and it's incredibly rewarding to be witnessing it, to be honest.
Oh, wow. That sounds amazing. I want to do both. I want to do all.
Come do it.
Lastly, just about both of these programs, is it only in person, or do you have an online element for people that are across the pond?
That's such a good question. All of it's online. If you live nearby, pop in for a cup of tea and we'll get around the piano and we'll have a sing and we'll do some hypnosis. But no, this is all available online. We do all our sessions on Zoom, and they're great.
That's amazing. Well, I think that this has been a really transformative session for me. I hope everybody listening or watching has really enjoyed it as much as I have, and I know that Ariel has as well. So I guess that is a wrap. Thank you so much, and we will hopefully see you again soon. You are welcome to come and share your expertise anytime.
I would love to come back. You've been so much fun to talk to. I could talk to you all day.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.